And welcome back to The Sovereign Economist. I am Ralph Evans, your Sovereign Economist. We're here on the Texas Broadcasting Network. This, the 10th day of March, 2010. We've been speaking with Ann Minch of Debtors Revolt Now and her plans for, and her declaration of revolution here, essentially, for financial issues. And as always, we're joined by our weekly special guest, Bob Chapman of the International Forecaster. And I think we're going to let these two just have the floor and talk between the two of them, because I know they've got a lot of great ideas together, and I think they might actually be very inspiring here for the next half hour. Bob, how are you this afternoon?
Fine, thank you.
Good. Well, thanks as always for rejoining us here on The Sovereign Economist. You and Ann met for a few moments off air here. I'll get to the Debtors Revolt situation here in just a couple minutes, but Bob, I just want to start off by asking you what's hot on your list of things we should all be watching today.
Well, I think on a current basis, we're seeing some massive manipulation of markets all over the world. And that's the result of the President's Group on Financial Markets, which is a group that has been put together by the executive order put in place by Ronald Reagan a long time ago, 1988. And since that time, our government has been rigging the markets. They distorted the whole thing. And so what we're seeing here is out of control manipulation, out of control. I mean, they just don't care, and they think they can do anything they want. And I think when this is all said and done, and we beat them when they're defeated, we'll have some trials for them for treason and other things that they've done that are not as serious as treason. I think that the American people have got to come to terms with the fact that there's something dramatically wrong going on, and it's up to us to tell them what it is and who's doing it. And the word is getting out. We got the government on the run. We got the people behind government on a bigger run. They're really concerned, and that's why they've expedited their process. And I think, this ongoing situation of them doing that, we live with every day, and I've never known in history of that ever having happened before. There's always been some kinds of manipulation, but nothing like the institutionalized manipulation that we're seeing. I think the most important way to be able to stop that is by Americans, when they vote in November, is to get rid of 95% of the incumbents, and then that will give us about a year and a half before they can get paid off by the people behind government. And I think we can get rid of a lot of things, like if they would pass a medical reform bill, I think we could get it turned around and defeated. In other words, throw it out even once it's been passed.
Before it becomes so entrenched in the culture that, like every federal program, it's impossible to remove it. If you can get rid of it early enough, then you've got a chance. Same thing with cap and trade, but it has to be quick, and there will be only a small window in which to do it. And in order to do that, yes, we definitely have to remove the incumbents and throw them out. I'll tell you something, Bob. You're talking about population completely out of control. Amen to that. For the third day in a row, I watched gold today cruising along at a nice pace until shortly after New York opened, and then the chart does that, what I call the left-oriented letter Z. And it's sort of tilted to the left, and it was going horizontal, and then bam, it goes down $12 on no news, and then it's horizontal for the rest of the day. I mean, when you see this day in and day out, you've been around the markets for years. How many times have you seen the same chart pattern repeat itself day after day after day? This is absurd. You know, everywhere you look, and it's not just in the gold market. I've been watching the stock market here this week, too. It's unbelievable the way that happens. These chart patterns, you could just overlay one on top of each other day after day. Plunge Protection Team, that working group on financial markets, we call the Plunge Protection Team, is going nuts with yours and my money. And I have somebody here today, Ann Minch. We started to talk about this conversation about possibly one of the ways that we can defang that program a little bit. You two were talking off the air, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of space here to kind of create, and let's see what we can come up with. And you were talking about the components to your debtors' revolt, which was about moving people's deposits from the large banks, the J.P. Morgans, the Bank of Americas, the Citigroups, to local credit unions and smaller banks in your local neighborhoods. On the tax revolt side, you were talking about basically increasing the number of exemptions to reduce your withholdings so that you're not giving the government your money to use for a year. But you're going to have to keep one thing in mind. That tax return that you all look forward to for a year and are so happy to get in the first quarter of each tax year, that's money you gave the government to screw you with for a year. Don't do it.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And
I'll shut up now. I'll get off my soapbox and leave you two to talk.
Well, you're absolutely right, Ralph, about the taxes. We have to get away from this idea that we get this cool refund check at the end of the year, like we think it's some sort of bonus or free money. It's your money that you let the government borrow interest-free, and we need to stop letting them do that. So that's part of my tax revolt plan in my civil revolution that you can see on my website. Number one is a complete boycott of all the big banks. Number two is stop loaning your money to the government interest-free by adjusting your W-4 withholdings. Abate your property taxes because of the mark-to-fantasy accounting that the banks use. Your property value is not anywhere near what you think it is, and you need to go to your local tax assessor's office and get an abatement to reduce your property taxes. And then finally, step 4 is to throw out both the Republicans and the Democrats. They have had decades to get it right, and they have just sold out the American people something awful, and we need to be done with them.
Bob, anything you could add to a few more bullet points here?
Well, I think we have a whole litany of things we'd like to get rid of besides the Medical Reform Act, if in fact it's passed. I don't think it will be. And there's such things as the repeal of the Patriot Acts 1 and 2, the doing away with of the executive orders which would then nullify the working group in financial markets, better known as the Plunge Protection Team, getting rid of and breaking up Homeland Security, also getting rid of the Federal Reserve and campaign contributions as well as lobbying. I think that undertaking alone would keep legislation busy for 6 months to a year. And so there's a lot of other things as well, doing away with voting machines and going back to what we did before with real ballots. And there's a whole following group of things to do. So there's plenty to do. So as Ann says, we got to get them out of there. And it's not political. It's not this left-right paradigm. What we're after here is getting rid of people who are crooks, people who are getting paid off through campaign contributions. And that's what we got to get rid of. And we got to stop the rotten, evil system that we have.
Absolutely right. Now, Bob, I have a question about this healthcare thing. You know, a lot of the people that are against it that you hear on the mainstream media is, oh, the death panels and abortion and this and that. But what is the real reason that they're trying to shove this down our throats? It seems to me that there's some other